Hello guys, my name is Anna and I'm from Ukraine and I'm a bit of dictator on my channel, and I dictate you to subscribe if you're new and you want to receive updates from Ukraine. Since the start of this awful invasion, I vlog daily to keep you updated and informed on the things that change our history daily. Hopefully you will be able to witness our victory on the channel. But today I am going to speak about a funny, miserable topic, and that is about dictators. What inspired me? Well, yesterday's parade in Moscow, because it was once again a very miserable event visited by a bunch of presidents, dictators, authoritarian regime leaders, among whom, of course, President Putin and President Lukashenko, who believe they are still presidents but not dying out dictator species in Europe. They inspired me to think more about this dictator style. I had a similar vlog approximately a year ago, but something changed in my vision of that, and nothing changed in the style of these two men, if it's possible to say so. So this is not going to be super girly vlog where I talk about style, but I personally believe that the way we represent ourselves to the world tell a lot about us. So first of all, you can notice a dictator. You can identify that someone is dictator because first thing change in his mind, in his character, and then they become visible. They want to be visible and they use various methods to achieve that. But somehow they always look miserable. Show me at least one dictator who looks attractive. Please do, because I cannot think of anyone. So, of course, there are lots of books and high-quality researchers on the style of their houses. And if I had to shorten down the ideal mansion of a dictator in any part of the world, I would say go big, go gold, more ornaments the better, and fake retro or fake various expensive things from the past, because in the majority of cases dictators are not very smart. They manipulate people, they know the basics of their history and they use it to create the image, but digging deeper, they have not very high IQ. For example, the vision of Russia by Putin and Russian history is just his own interpretation, which has nothing to do with reality, and talking to some real researchers, he would lose the ground very quickly. But all of them like gold, all of them like expensive things, luxury brands, and showing off, as if it can save them from misery that lives deep inside of them. Yanukovych, our former president, a totally pro-Russian figure created by Russian special political operations, was a bright representative of this oligarchy, almost dictatorship class, and his residence was open for visitors in 2014 after the Revolution of Dignity, and it was an example of this very bad taste with golden toilets and other stuff. I don't know, why do you need it? And many people visited it, and honestly, no one from my friends who were there would love to live in a place like that. So they managed to build like $1 million houses where no normal person wants to live, because normal here is the vital word. So Navalny, for example, has a special research made on the mentions of Putin and his love for luxury, and he has also yachts and other expensive things. And I wonder why Russian society, aka, as you've told me, population, does not ask questions. We always ask questions. When we see that something goes wrong, we have various journalists, activists who start asking questions. A lot of questions. That is the answer to many of you who ask about corruption in Ukraine. Of course, it's present as in the majority of countries. It was much inherited from the Soviet Union with its closed system, but our civil society is super active. People sometimes are even too aggressive towards politicians, looking for their sins and looking for extra money that they spend. The same does not happen in Russia. They don't copy behavior of many democratic societies that actually try to trace the wealth of people who want to be their politicians, because you have to be able to imagine what kind of person rules you. But in Russia, no. The less you know about your leader, the better. Another very typical feature, interesting feature of a dictator, in the majority of cases, he will never have a woman next to him. Also, I don't know women dictators in the modern times, at least. I don't want to be one. I've told you they lose style and charm. Somehow dictators don't want to seem vulnerable or alive or dependent emotionally on someone. I don't know, but you will never see a woman next to Putin, next to Lukashenko. And I think it's good for us women. I have made myself a note what I want to tell you about. So in general, speaking about their houses, speaking about their yachts and cars and watches that they buy, we can spend like an hour or more, but I don't think it's interesting because there are other researchers who do more work. But for me, another surprising fact is that they spend millions of dollars on things no ordinary normal person would like to repeat and apply in their life. Then something special happens with the way they dress. They become very self-delusional. They believe everything they do is okay, and they start developing their own styles. And in case with this Soviet-style dictators like Lukashenko and Putin, and I date back these people to Soviet Union because they are very much Soviet people with this style, attitudes, philosophy. And even if you look at the suits they choose, they look very similar to the ones that communists loved. And first, let's think about Putin. He is losing his charm. He is not looking good. I'm not going into conspiracy theories. What about his health? Because I don't want his health to kill him. I want justice to kill him. So his costumes, his suits look bad. At the beginning of his career, he was trying to create this macho dictator style, but he is no more doing that. You will not see him topless anymore. Something changed. Well, maybe it was already a special military operation when we had photos of him half naked or riding a horse. I often mix it and say riding a bear, but anyway. Also, many dictators like building monuments. I wonder, are there any monuments to Putin, or shall we wait until he dies to put some in Russia? They will, just like as to Stalin. But in other, especially Central Asian republics, they had golden monuments of their presidents while they were still alive. Also, dictators become extremely superstitious, and I think you can manipulate them or frighten them by saying some things. And Putin has a lot of extra senses, shamans who try to predict future. He's also afraid of some of them who can curse him, and he's living in this magical world. Imagine how difficult it is when both people in the real world and creatures in the magical world hate you and wish you death. So it's kind of difficult to be Putin, and he spends so much time in his bunker. That's why his complexion worsened, and I believe no one wants to look like Putin, even those people who support him, which does not make him 100% successful, perhaps, because those celebrities, they want people to copy their styles. In general, for me, now he looks extremely faded, and compare him to President Zelenskyy during war. Of course, I know Zelenskyy is younger. Zelenskyy was an actor. He was considered attractive among Ukrainian celebrities, ranking various sex appeal ratings. But He's now wearing military clothes because his country is at war. He chooses not expensive clothes, and typically with his t-shirts and sweatshirts he says something to the world. I'm grateful to those of you who buy our t-shirts and speak with the world, start conversations with those prints, because we develop them as Ukraine-provoking conversation starters. Thank you so much, and thank you for sending me photos. Imagine Putin. He is not like prepared to fight, he is prepared to hide. Lukashenko is his pet. He is his puppet friend, totally dependent on Putin, and he has even more Soviet style. His mustache gave him a nickname in Belarus, which we know in Ukraine, and it is Tarakan. It can be translated as a cockroach, because like cockroach has this mustache that Lukashenko does. He is also a huge fan of this shirts with short sleeve, which go against any political diplomatic dress code. And personally, they resemble me Soviet style so much, because in Soviet Union, lots of men were wearing these shirts. And I have never liked them. For me, it's just like a reminder of that period. And Lukashenko loves them. He wears them with a tie, which makes it a little bit absurd. Also, he is a fan of showing up in hockey costumes. Like Putin likes to be topless, and Lukashenko likes to be in hockey costumes, like a weird couple. So, and my favorite detail of his style was actually at the beginning of this war, when Belarus, when he gathered his military men and he was talking to them that it might be needed to attack Ukraine, and he was showing us on the map with a wooden pointer, like my teacher used at school back in like 90s. And I felt, okay, he is really far away from this like innovation, satellite images, I don't know. So it is not going to be very difficult to protect ourselves against them if like we are using HIMARS and they are using maps and pointers. So I do understand that appearance is not everything, but we work with our appearance. We work with the way we look, and to some extent, it reflects the way we feel. And for me, beauty is always like a process that is not directly connected to your face, to your height, to your shape, but more to the way you use it all, the way you speak with the world. And dictators speak with the world in a very miserable manner, and perhaps deep down inside they feel how small they are, how pathetic they are, and that their life, their dictatorship, this illusion of power is purely limited. Plus, they all suffer from a typical set of dictator diagnoses, like they are psychopaths, typically narcissists, and they have this Machiavellian complex or something. But another fashion super popular among dictators, and I like the idea, is that typically they end up bad, hang somewhere, killed by a crowd, and I'm sure something similar awaits for Lukashenko and Putin, and I honestly wish them that. But another thing that I want to remind you is that dictators are nourished by the societies they come from. And if the country is run by a dictator, it is not only a dictator to blame. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons. Thank you for conversations that we have, and thank you for being friends. Slava Ukraini!